The strategic equilibrium of air power in the Indo-Pacific was irrevocably altered in May 2025 during a large-scale engagement between the Indian Air Force and the Pakistani Air Force, an operation that provided the first real-world validation of China's PL-15 Beyond Visual Range air-to-air missile. According to a comprehensive Reuters investigation published in August 2025, Pakistani Chengdu J-10C fighters armed with the PL-15 successfully engaged and downed at least one Indian Dassault Rafale during a massive 52-minute aerial melee involving over 110 aircraft. The root cause of the loss was not a performance failure of the Rafale platform itself, but a catastrophic intelligence failure regarding the kinematics of the Chinese missile. Indian pilots operated under the assumption that the PL-15's no-escape zone was limited to approximately 150 kilometers, a figure derived from the publicly available specifications of the export variant PL-15E. However, the missiles fired that night were domestic-tier munitions with a dual-pulse rocket motor capable of sustaining lethal energy out to a verified range of 200 kilometers or more. This engagement marked the first confirmed air-to-air kill for the PL-15 and served as a stark warning to Western defense planners that the first shot advantage had decisively shifted toward Chinese aerospace technology. When assessing the operational readiness of these two premier missile systems as of April 2026, the most glaring disparity lies not in the laboratory specifications, but in programmatic maturity and mass. The PL-15, designed by the China Airborne Missile Academy under the intensive 7-11 work regimen, has been in active service with the People's Liberation Air Force and Naval Aviation since the 2015-2016 timeframe. With over a decade of full-rate production and integration across the entire modern Chinese fighter fleet, including the J-20, J-16, J-10C, and the carrier-based J-35, China is estimated to possess a stockpile numbering in the thousands of units. In stark contrast, the AIM-260 Joint Advanced Tactical Missile remains in a delicate transitional phase. Initiated in 2017 as a classified special access program to counter the unexpected range superiority of the PL-15, the JATM program has faced persistent delays in achieving initial operational capability, missing its original 2022 target. While the U.S. Navy has begun allocating procurement funding in fiscal year 2026, and Lockheed Martin has secured a production ramp-up contract, the missile is not expected to reach widespread operational status until late 2026 or early 2027. Furthermore, the complex integration of the new missile's data link and software architecture onto the legacy F-22 Raptor platform has proven more challenging than anticipated, further delaying the full combat readiness of the U.S. Air Force's primary air superiority asset. The design philosophies underpinning these two weapons reflect distinct national imperatives regarding aircraft base size and range expectations. The PL-15 adopts a brute force approach with a wider airframe diameter of approximately 203 millimeters and a weight exceeding 200 kilograms, allowing for a larger volume of dual-pulse solid propellant. This translates to a confirmed operational range between 200 and 300 kilometers for the domestic variant, with terminal velocities pushing beyond Mach 5. Its active electronically scanned array radar seeker provides robust resistance to electronic countermeasures. The AIM-260 JATM, conversely, is constrained by the internal weapons bay dimensions of the F-22 and F-35 Lightning II. As a result, it maintains a slimmer profile similar to the AIM-120 AMRAAM, but utilizes a next-generation multi-pulse rocket motor and a proprietary high-energy propellant blend to maximize range within that smaller volume. While specific performance data for the JATM remains highly classified, testing reports and defense analyst estimates suggest the weapon is designed to achieve a range envelope of 200 to 260 kilometers, with some test shots potentially reaching the 300-kilometer mark. The JATM's true advantage is intended to reside in its advanced networking and guidance package, which is designed to leverage offboard sensor data from collaborative combat aircraft and space-based assets, allowing for launch on remote engagements that keep the launching platform electromagnetically silent. Perhaps the most strategically consequential aspect of this missile rivalry is the sheer economic and industrial divide between the two adversaries. The PL-15 benefits immensely from China's vertically integrated defense industrial base, with per-unit cost estimates hovering around $1 million or less. This low cost enables a PLA to employ saturation tactics and maintain a high sortie rate without exhausting the national treasury. Conversely, the AIM-260 JATM presents a significant fiscal dilemma for the Pentagon and its allies. Based on the March 2026 foreign military sale to Australia, valued at $2.61 billion for 450 missiles, the per-unit flyaway cost of the JATM is estimated at approximately $5.8 million. This means a single full combat load of 6 AIM-260 missiles for an F-35 Block 4 represents a munitions expenditure exceeding $34 million, a sum greater than one-third the cost of the fighter jet itself. This exorbitant cost structure ensures that the JATM will be a boutique weapon reserved exclusively for high-end conflict in the Pacific theater, while the legacy AIM-120D AMRAAM will remain the workhorse for other contingencies. In a protracted war of attrition over the vast distances of the South China Sea or the Taiwan Strait, the ability to manufacture and expend large quantities of long-range munitions offers a decisive advantage, an area where the U.S. industrial base currently faces a severe and widening gap. The development of these respective missiles is a direct reflection of the diverging grand strategies of Beijing and Washington. The PL-15 was conceived as a core enabler of China's anti-access and area denial doctrine. Its primary mission is not simply to duel enemy fighters, but to push high-value airborne assets such as tankers, airborne early warning and control aircraft, and electronic warfare platforms out of the battle space. By threatening these critical enablers from a distance of 200 kilometers or more, the PL-15 effectively severs the logistical and sensory lifelines of a carrier strike group or expeditionary air force. On the American side, the AIM-260 JATM was born out of a moment of strategic panic. After years of comfortable overmatch with the AIM-120 AMRAAM, the U.S. Department of Defense realized that Chinese J-20 fighters could engage American F-35s before the American jets were even within their own missile range. The JATM is therefore a reactionary measure aimed at restoring that lost overmatch, ensuring that U.S. pilots can once again outstick the adversary. It is being developed in concert with other long-range enablers, like the AIM-174B Gunslinger, to create a layered, networked kill web, where the F-35 acts as a silent quarterback, directing missiles from a variety of launch platforms. The events of May 2025 have reverberated far beyond the immediate tactical outcome of the India-Pakistan border skirmish, casting a long shadow over the global defense export market. The fact that a French-built Rafale, widely considered one of the most capable non-stealth fighters in the Western inventory, was defeated by a Chinese-built J-10C armed with a Chinese-built missile has damaged the aura of invincibility surrounding Western aerospace technology. In the immediate aftermath, defense analysts noted a temporary dip in Dassault Aviation's market valuation, and international defense attachés began reassessing the viability of Western aircraft in a PL-15 saturated environment. Furthermore, the incident validated Beijing's long-standing marketing pitch that its weapon systems are not merely cheaper alternatives, but are capable of achieving parity or even superiority in specific performance metrics like range. For nations operating under tight defense budgets and facing potential threats from neighbors equipped with Western jets, the proven lethality of the PL-15, combined with the lower cost of platforms like the J-10C, presents an increasingly compelling and pragmatic alternative to the high-cost, high-maintenance procurement models offered by the United States and Europe. While the current gap between the operational PL-15 and the pre-production AIM-260 is concerning enough for Western planners, the trajectory of Chinese missile development suggests the window for American recovery may be narrowing further. China is already fielding the PL-16, a refined version of the PL-15 featuring folding fins that allow the J-20 to carry 6 missiles internally instead of the previous 4, effectively increasing the stealth fighter's onboard firepower by 50%. More significantly, the massive PL-17 ultra-long-range air-to-air missile, with an estimated range of 350 to 430 kilometers, is entering service. This weapon is specifically designed to destroy high-value airborne targets like the E-3 Sentry or KC-46 Pegasus from distances that render escort fighters irrelevant. Looking ahead, there are strong indications that China is flight testing an air-launched hypersonic weapon with a scramjet engine capable of reaching velocities above Mach 6 and ranges approaching 1,000 kilometers. Unless the United States accelerates the development and, more critically, the affordable production of JATM and its follow-on systems, the U.S. Air Force and Navy risk entering the next decade facing a multi-layered, range-superior missile complex that threatens to neutralize the effectiveness of the carrier fleet and forward-deployed bases that have underpinned American strategy for 75 years. As of April 2026, the comparative analysis of the PL-15 and the AIM-260 JATM reveals a precarious imbalance in the Indo-Pacific theater. While the AIM-260 will almost certainly match or slightly exceed the kinematic performance and sensor fidelity of the PL-15 when it finally achieves full operational capability, it does so at a prohibitive cost and with a production capacity that remains a fraction of China's output. The U.S. military possesses a superior network architecture and more experienced pilot cadre, but those advantages are negated if the munitions required to execute the mission are too expensive to stockpile and too scarce to expend freely. China's PL-15 is a mature, battle-proven, and industrially scalable weapon that grants Beijing a tangible advantage in the critical opening hours of a conflict. The narrative of this rivalry is no longer about one side catching up to the other. It is a story of a swift and sustained erosion of American technological overmatch, replaced by a new paradigm where industrial output and cost efficiency may ultimately prove to be the final arbiters of air superiority in the 21st century.